my thoughts about this. I was thinking, I got my degree in American Studies, and I read a lot about, Revolution and War, wars in general, Civil War, World War II. And to me, I always wondered, like, why during the Revolutionary War, like, why, like, these loyalists to the crown, like, how come they weren't burnt out? Like, some were, so some were outright. Um, I mean, they said we know why they were loyal to the crown. They had business connections, or some fainted it, some went back and forth. And I always look back. I guess we look at, why. It was that Rodriguez. And I was always wondering, how come these people weren't dealt with more effectively? And now that we're engaged in an ongoing rebellion, that's what it is. I mean, no, my gamer tag, hold up. My gamer tag is right there. That's my gamer tag. I'm gonna not look at my chat for a little bit. Sorry. Um, okay, now we're good. Okay, so now that we're engaged in ongoing rebellion, it's so a little surreal, because that's what it is. Make no doubt about it. We're in an open state of rebellion. And the thing about it is, it's just like, this is what it must have looked like back then. There was different shades of loyalty to the crown and to what was George Washington and the Revolution and the Constitution. So people had to change and go, and they wanted to support um, us becoming a republic, but sometimes it just didn't allow it or whatever, right? And people wanted to make sure that we were part of something greater, part of the empire. But sometimes you had to deal with your friends who wanted, republic. My point is, there was this gray area going back and forth, shifting, changing alliances or whatever, and it wasn't so clear. And you got this obfuscation, and people knowing that there's obfuscation, hiding within that, to hide their white nationalism, playing both sides, thinking they're smarter because they're racially superior, or have this intellect that's better than everybody, that they have the right to fool people. They have the right to lie to people because they're subhumans, they're Untermenschen. The Lügenpresse. You could, the press is lying, they're subhuman, doesn't matter, they're animals, we can do whatever we want, fuck them, so we could lie to him as long as he becomes emperor, we can say whatever we have to motivate people. You have this obfuscation of knowing it's gray area and people furthering their agenda within that chaos. So you gotta be careful of that too. It's not only there's this shifting, changing, because when someone's racist or whatever, maybe they're racist now, maybe in 5 minutes they're not going to exactly make the most racist decision, and maybe they'll have a couple of black friends, maybe the next day or whatever, and it's just moving, shifting, everything changes. You can't really put your hands on it. And that's the reality of it. Nothing's as clear. And now I understand why those houses were not burned down, because they were loyalists to not the American cause, because it wasn't so clear. It isn't so clear now who is a white nationalist and who isn't. Some is very blatant, some isn't. A lot of people are going to use it to their advantage. Wanted to get my thoughts out on that or whatever, it's just, thing about it is, I'll tell you why. When we look back on it, be like, oh, that house is a loyalist, oh, these were loyalists. It wasn't. The reason why it wasn't so clear, they had to do it in real time. These are conversations with their friends. But after a year, after 5 years, after 10 years, after 20 years, after analysis and things were written, like, that family was loyal to the empire, to the English Empire. And this person was loyal to the American cause because, in hindsight and in research, we had generations to make that delineation, but we don't have that now. So these people in the Congress, oh, those are traitors. But to us, it's like, oh no, they were elected, and they're hiding within that obfuscation, hiding within that confusion to further white nationalists. And so is a lot of people. So is a lot of people on this island. It's have a lot of bizarre encounters when I talk about deeply Puerto Rican cultural things, like the core of Latino. I'll be outright being, native Beluga Indian, and it's just total like there's like nothing there. They are completely ignorant of it, and they just fill it in with all this other. Well, they don't even fill it. It's just bizarre. You're engaged in this like non-conversation. It feels like in Twilight Zone, man. And people adopt these things, they co-opt these things, take agency of these things to their own advantage. It's like all these people that suffered racism, that fought for it, but you want to take those elements and try to take clout from it and further themselves with it. I mean, I'm very open about me being Navajo. I've definitely furthered that agenda within the Latino community. Of course, I'm Native American. I'm open. I know that heavily Native American political, cultural things overlap with Latino. I'm not gonna lie. That's what I did growing up. It's just who I was. It's who I am. I mean, it's like, and I was accepted. And they wanted me to become them. I wanted them to become me. You know what I'm talking about? So I wanted them to research their past, their native past more. You know what I'm talking about? And respect it and love it. You know what I'm talking about? Know about it. Learning about it creates this bond with it. Of course. Like, respect it. It's like, hey, why not do a little research, look about it, like what happened, how far back does that go? What is, who was this chief, talking about? And that creates that bond. But anyways, my point being is it's not so clear, and people use that confusion for their own advantage. And the more aggressive they are is the time to meet that and be more engaging, more aggressive legally, because these people are ex-police, ex-military, or current police, ex-intelligence that use tradecraft and know the law and are contorting that law to their own agenda. And it takes even to confront that, to confront white nationalists that know the law, that are using the law and using loopholes and contorting it and perverting it and to their own agenda. For white nationalism, these technicalities to subjugate other people, how do you confront that? Well, you have to confront it just as aggressively as they are, but it takes this immense amount of knowledge about the law, immense knowledge about the Constitution by a populace that is not, by and large, lawyers, by and large, are not police officers or intelligence, because we were shut out. So it's the more you press, you have to engage. Sometimes it will get, you have to defend yourself. And you have to know the law. And it's stressful because the more they press up on you, the more you got to engage back. And you got to know to the Constitution, to a degree, that you still are real patriot. You have to confront it in a manner and with such knowledge that a lot of people don't possess. So it's stressful acquiring that knowledge. It's stressful knowing that these people will contort the law and try to beat you over the head and false flag you as they're stations above what they are. And this is patriotism, and you're the traitor, and reverse that on you. So you have to know, and you have to do it. That's confrontation too. I'm talking about knowing the law, knowing what you're up against, knowing the Constitution, and pushing double down when they're more aggressive and violently taking over stuff. You need to confront that in any way possible on multiple levels. I'm not going to say, oh, well, Second Amendment, defend yourself with deadly force. I don't feel that is what this is going to be about. It's going to be about those interpersonal connections that try to beat you over the head with that obfuscation about this is how this country is, that your way of thinking is unpatriotic and our white nationalism, and you have to know the law. You have to know it to a degree above what you know now. I'm not saying everybody, but this is what you're going to be constantly attacked with. And every little, it's going to be subtle, and it's going to be overt, and everything in between. And sometimes that we've seen, it's going to be deadly. And make sure those people that are handling it physically are the ones that are loyal to the Constitution, unquestionably, without a doubt. I'm talking about, because they're going to try to draw you in, provoke you, so you look like the traitor. And they look like the patriots. They look like the heroes. And you look like the criminals. But you got to be the defenders of the Constitution. You got to be the protectors of the American processes. You have to defend that. Don't let them take that image. And that's another one of their tactics. And that's why you have QAnon. If they have nothing about someone, they're going to attack you and be like, oh, well, that person is drinking blood, pedophile. What else are they saying? Something that's undefendable. That person's a traitor, And it's probably adapted to each region too, Whatever region is viewed as the weak person. Maybe I'd say there's a community that don't, whatever it is, it's probably adapted to whatever. You know what I'm saying? So you have to be just as adapted and find out what you're confronting. You have that responsibility. And it's stressful that you need to learn all this, whatever, but you have to confront it, or else you're going to be the next group of people that's going to be subjugated to even a whole larger degree that it is now. Because it's going to be an ongoing fight, because we're in open rebellion. But the thing is, the beauty of it is that real communication, real engagement, real community, real talking of a relationship, interpersonal, will beat this shit. Because then you'll learn that this is a skill. And this will better my life. And if you could instill that in other people, be like, I don't need to short circuit organic human interaction and say, no, you're white. I want you up ahead of everybody. We'll just say you're talented. We'll just say you're better than us. We'll just say you're superior than everybody else. And fuck all those people, I'm talking about. We'll put you up. But if they learn that real organic relationships is what makes it, we could chip away at it gradually. And the more we do it, the faster we could beat and shut down this rebellion. And don't let anybody tell you about healing and reconciliation until we get these motherfuckers. I'll leave with that, you know what I'm saying? So don't tell me about trying to mitigate and obfuscate that even more when we're not getting these traitors, you know what I'm talking about? But that's what you are, all right? You don't take over government buildings. You don't try to intimidate people. Who are elected. But honestly, like, I could get into it about what's happening at the Capitol. And I know one day people are going to look at this, people who are aiding and abetting the insurrection who are in Congress. Why don't we just throw them out? because we need the FBI to gather that information so we could create those charges so they cannot hold office. All right. I just want to say it just clicked on me one day. It's like, now I know why. Back in Revolutionary War, I understand. Okay, take it easy.